Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. And I must say, the time difference change in the UK has confused and discombobulated everyone. Do you know what I'm saying? It has been a madness starting this episode. If you're wondering where Drogbaba is, we have not yet exposed.
We've not located him. We have not located him.
He's gone AWOL.
We say,
and it's our fault.
Yeah, we only just remembered that the time difference, and to explain to you guys how complicated the episode is, because a lot of people tell me and ask me, how comes this person hasn't come on All You Can Eat Chelsea? How comes this person hasn't come on All You Can Eat Chelsea? Let me explain to you the time difference complications that goes into this, right? Obviously, me and Younes are in London. I'm in West, he's in South. That's a time difference in itself. Do you know what I'm saying, as far as I'm concerned? Then you go to Miz in Australia, right? And you go to Baba in India. Do you understand the complications of that? That time difference is nuts. People are like, oh, how comes we can't get you have George Benson or Goonie? I said, do you know where they are? Goonie is in New York. Right now in New York, it's probably like 5 a.m. I don't even know. And
yeah,
it's early.
Yeah,
it's early.
And then in Bali, God knows what time it is. I have no idea.
George is having dinner right now or something, but he's about to go to bed.
No, I think Bali's about 4 hours behind us or something like that. So they're
behind.
Yeah, they're behind.
Oh,
us.
fair.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just busy then.
More than you can believe, guys,
Sure.
we cannot deal with any more time differences on this show. We are doing the most we can do. So, yeah. But big up your damn selves. Welcome back into the building. Younes, welcome back to the cast and crew. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I mean, yeah, we were telling everyone about having to brace themselves for the month of April, and how crazy it's going to be. Enjoy the break. Enjoy the silence and peace. So, yeah, I'm as what Brock Lesnar in 2003 used to say, here comes the pain. I'm ready. Bring it on.
I love
I
that.
think it's Brock Lesnar, bro. Oh man, I love that Brock Lesnar sound, bro. I love it.
Keep it tight. I'm not gonna lie.
Shout out WrestleMania weekend. He's fighting this weekend. So
Is he still fighting in WWE?
Yeah, but he's still a beast. He's still a beast. He's facing a 7-foot Nigerian giant. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, God. It's not Kofi Kingston anyway. I know that.
It's not Kofi Kingston. The last 7-footer that I knew was Great Khali. He's not Nigerian, that's for sure.
Oh, Miz, welcome back into the building, brother. Talk to me. How are you doing? How you feeling? How's that time difference?
Oh, bro, that hit me like a mad brick on the face, man. Yeah, man, this time difference. Look, now I know. So now we're prepared moving forward. But we've got our time difference coming up in the weekend as well. So it's only going to get bigger, the time difference. But it is what it is. Yeah, man, look, just trying to pump out content wherever I can, trying to be with you guys whenever I can. That's life, bro. That's life at the moment for me. It's on the fly.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? This has been an interesting international break and an interesting last few days. I've got Kai Havertz'S and his love affair with donkeys, preferably maybe the one from Shrek, like I have on the thumbnail, to make it make sense. I've got Loftus-Cheek trying to date Laura Woods. We have Aubameyang, obviously, I think last week wearing the Barcelona top or over I don't know when it was. Maybe it was probably last week.
He's got more chances to be a Barcelona player than
Chelsea
playing for Chelsea at the moment. Probably getting to their bench right now.
Yeah. And then we have all of the stadium chaos in terms of where we'll be located and people going between Twickenham and Wembley and Craven Cottage and Medeski Stadium and Earls Court. And all of these different things. So these are
the losses as well. Don't forget the losses. Some losses happening as well in financials.
Yeah. That's a great point. So there's actually a lot on the agenda today.
We're now skint.
It's like last time.
The losses are people, and I'm not trying to be some sort of expert, but from a layman's term, we're currently on a 3-year running on a 252 million loss, and I think in the Premier League you can only have up to 105. So we better be selling a lot of players to get inside that level. So it's a serious problem.
It's not a surprise that we've made a loss because at the end of the day, we spent 600 million or whatever it was. Sure, the exact correct figure, but everybody just keeps rounding up to 600, so may as well just go from there. And of course, we took loads of losses when we were sanctioned. Loads of losses. As a club, we weren't even able to function. Weren't able to sell tickets, weren't able to do this, weren't able to do that. So I assume, considering that is kind of a little bit unprecedented what happened to us, regardless of the financial kind of rules in terms of how much loss you're allowed to make per year as a club, etc. I assume they're going to relax those rules and they're going to implement some sort of thing for us where we can go over that, because we literally went through an entire switch of ownership due to a foreign invasion, and our owner obviously had to relinquish his asset. That is not something that is normal that a club should have to go through and therefore still balance the books at the end of it. Obviously, you think a lot of money, but
you think they're going to be nice to us? They're going to give us some leeway?
I think they have to. I think by the letter of the law, the code of conduct, they must.
if we want Chelsea Football Club, maybe. We're Chelsea Football Club. They're going to take the biggest opportunity to do what they can to us, but it's us.
And then on top of that, see, I'm of the indication that when you go out there and extravagantly spend 600 million or so, whatever the number is, you're putting yourself out there. You are noticeable. You know, it's not like you spent 100 million or 200 million. You spent you are sticking out. You are, and this is the
like
thing.
A sore thumb.
Like a sore thumb, man. Like you are. I recognize you. I see you. Do you know what I mean? And this is why, you know, the FMA and there's rumors, isn't there? Like we're in the investigation. Like we're in the watch list apparently, along with Man City and PSG.
It's the same clubs all the time, isn't it? Really.
We need to calm down, man. I don't know, man. Like that January look, as much as I loved it, it was fantastic.
That was great.
But you got to operate in a smart. Like we should have been able to get rid of some of the players just to sort of balance things out a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So,
but we've spoken about how hard it will be to get rid of players before, isn't it? In terms of the Lukakus and, you know, players of high wage. If Koulibaly wasn't to work out, that's a player on a high wage that's in an age group that is not, you know, really going to give you much market value after the fact of purchase. You're not going to get a profit from him because he's so old. So it's one of those situations where the Gallaghers, the Mason Mounts, these are the ones that are really easy to sell. That's really easy to sell assets because they're English, they're young, they've got potential, they have an England cap to their name or many, many caps, high market value, you know, potential, etc. So I don't think Chelsea will have a problem. Say Chelsea sell 3 players for 40 million. That's 120 million immediately. Just goes straight onto the books. Especially if it's the this is why my prediction for buy, sell, loan, keep, release video for 23-24, I put Gallagher and Mount on that list of I think they'll be sold. Purely because if you're going to balance books, the easiest way to do that is to sell players that you didn't even pay for. They just the money just goes straight onto the accounts immediately. There's no amortization of transfer fee. Yeah, exactly, bro. It's just straight in. Like you haven't paid for these players. It's pure profit. Loftus-Cheek applies in that as well. And I think that's why we keep hearing these reports of they're going to sell homegrown academy assets potentially. Ian Maatson is coming back. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. As much as I want him to stay, in my prediction video, I predicted he would leave as well. He would be sold because he's only got 1 year left. Are we going to give him a starting role for a new contract? Would have to be a new contract and then you loan him out again, which is what we usually do. Or a new contract is, you know, you're going to get game time. And with Chilwell and Cucurella in that left side area, unless we stick to wing backs, 100% stick to wing backs, and he becomes second choice left wing back, he's not really going to see much of a path for game time. Maybe, especially if Chilwell doesn't continue to be injury prone. Maybe Chilwell will be injury prone like James, and then it will be a lot easier to convince. But that's another asset that could be sold. I hope Levi Colwill doesn't come into that as well.
Potentially, bro. Potentially.
Yeah. I mean, what else did you read about this, Miz? Because I didn't even get to fully go into all of that.
It's serious because not having European football, and a lot of people have been saying recently, I don't even want Europa League. I don't want Conference League. It's not about what you want. And it's not because we so desperately want to be in those competitions. We just love it. No, it's not about that. It's
No.
about the match day fees.
Yeah.
Having those games at Stamford Bridge,
TV.
or even away, and TV, bang on, Younes. Those income,
Yeah.
you cut them off, bruv. There's no Europe altogether. That means there's a lot of money that's going to dry up, right? There's wages to pay, extravagant wages to pay, lots of staff that we have. Chelsea Football Club is not a cheap club to run. Considering Stamford Bridge only has 40,000 capacity, doesn't make enough money. Spurs earn, I think I saw in the financials, they earn close to 20, 30 million more per year just from their stadium revenue than us. How is that? That's unacceptable, man. Like,
it is.
Spurs are struggling, man. Like, we laugh at them. Look at what's happening to them right now.
Yeah.
But essentially, they earn more than us. Like, that's mad. So all of these things will matter. Wage structures, I think that's going to be looked at. If we don't qualify for Europe, any level of European football, a lot of players will have to face wage cuts. This is why players like Mason Mount, I kid you not, just forget, man. Forget it. Like, they're going to have to move on.
Because if you renegotiate his contract at, say, 210 or 20, right, is maybe what he wants, or I don't know. And obviously the length of contract is one of the biggest issues. So you're giving him that level of contract, and you're probably maximum going to get a 6 out of him, which is the same as James, because he definitely doesn't want no 7 or 8. His wage would then drop again, according to the way that we've tried to manage the squad. Now, I'm curious to know, did we do this with every single player that we brought in so far, or have we only done this with certain players? Because then there could be an imbalance. This is why when I see, our yearly Neymar link, I laugh because I'm like, if you think he's taking them sort of wages because we're not in Europe, and by the way, something that he didn't even contribute to, us not being in Europe, he ain't doing that. But you're right. I mean, listen, I want Europa League minimum. I feel like the fact that we're struggling to even get that, when you look at the points gap, when you look at some of the points that we've dropped along the way in recent weeks, Everton, Southampton, if you were to add 6 points to our tally, it would put us right in amongst it. And I'm not expecting, and I said it, I shut it down. Remember when you was like, oh, maybe we could get champions? I said, nope, we can't, bro. It's not
I just believed, bro.
I know. I just said, nah, bro. Like, I was just like, nope. I ran the maths and I was like, no. But Europa League, that's something that I actually expect, because the gap to Newcastle is quite sizable. It's 9 points, I think. But the gap to Liverpool continues to only be 5 points. Now, we've played a game more, but that's the points at the end of the day. And it should be a lot less if we'd beat Everton. I can't be even bothered to go any further back because it just makes me angry. But 6th place should be the target, bare minimum. We should be making a move for 6th place. I don't want to be watching us in the Conference League next year. I get what you're saying from a TV money standpoint, but I don't want to watch this in the Conference League. Yeah. Europa League I can handle. I'm not so snobby. I can't handle a little bit of Europa League. A little bit.
Come on, man. Let's play it. Yeah, they got. What's the Conference League theme song? I swear it's like a remix of the Europa.
It's the same one.
I think it is a remix. I think it is.
Look, Conference League would be amazing. Let's go play an away game in Tajikistan or something, man. I'm down.
Bro, Tajikistan is a place I'm talking about places you don't have. Like, I just heard a new country during this international break. Cucurao? The one that Argentina played. Cacao or Caracao?
Cucurella start his own island?
Yeah, maybe. Argentina played a particular country. I had no idea it was even a country, bro.
There we are. The final man. Bro, it's not your fault.
We apologize again. We apologize.
We already discussed the time differences and the madness that UK put us through last Saturday when they changed it by we went forward an hour or something. So yeah, just loads of confusion. Miz as well, loads of confusion. We started the episode by explaining to the viewers the time differences and just how difficult it is. How are you,
I was
bro?
still under the impression I have 15 minutes, I'll chill for a bit and all of that. I was like, okay, it's already 10:37. Oh my God. what the hell just happened? I'm good, bro. I'm good. How are you all?
We're very good. Very good. Just discussing the finances of Chelsea, obviously, and the implications of maybe not making European football. but also hoping, expecting that, you know, the fact that we were sanctioned is going to contribute to the amount of losses that we've made. I don't know if you've seen these articles on Roman Abramovich or if you've gone into it on your channel. If you have any thoughts on it, if you've seen it.
I've read about it, not in detail. Like there was something related to he was funding Vitesse. He held in the takeover of Vitesse. See, if you're dealing with that. I'm not at all surprised. Okay, if
to be honest, I'm me neither.
Yeah, even I was not surprised with City being caught with some of their sponsors being those offshore companies, or some of those sponsors being a mailbox or a compound in Indonesia somewhere. Because if you're dealing with that amount of money, you know all kinds of shenanigans, and you know you can expose all kind of loopholes in the systems. So yeah, that's the reality of that. But let's see what happens. What will be the implications of that? Are there any legal implications being threatened
for Vitesse? No.
Surely there cannot be. I mean, it was under Roman's time. So go and what are you going to do with Roman? What's Roman going to say, Jeremy?
Do we even know where he is?
We don't even know.
That's where he even is. Like,
so. I know this has nothing to do with anything, but I have no choice but to bring it up. I have no choice to bring up what I've just seen on Twitter.
What did you see?
I guess it kind of has a little bit of Chelsea in it. Astrid Wet.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
It's fighting. It's fighting Yinka, JJ's mum.
What?
Misfits.
Oh, my God.
I don't know who that person is. But,
KSI's mom. This is KSI's
Yinka.
mom.
You're kidding.
KSI's mom.
I'm not joking with you, bro.
That's
but
KSI's mom.
Is this like a celebrity boxing or something? Or?
Yeah, but bro, this is the
it's a YouTube influencer boxing promotion thing that KSI started.
Oh, God grief. When I read that, my jaw just dropped.
Yinka, you know. Yinka's gonna kick her ass.
How do you have your 52-year-old mom getting into a ring with someone? How do you even sanction that as a person?
You do know the entire Chelsea fan base are going to be behind Yinka. I'm just saying.
100%. But she's fighting somebody half her age. That is dangerous.
People are taking a piss with this whole celebrity thing now, man. Like, it's really making a mockery out of boxing as a proper sport. It's just a shame, man. I think there's a lot more of these celebrity boxing than normal.
There boxing. Is. The fight. Do you know what it is with these? Yeah, is the fights happen much more regularly, and it's like, I mean, that's quite an interesting matchup. I'm not gonna lie.
That is. I'm tuning in for sure.
And on the other side, in the real world, you don't get Fury versus you don't get the Fury fight that we was all waiting for, and you're thinking, yo, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? Like they're posting Instagram videos, arguing with each other. Fury wants 70-30 versus Usyk. Usyk agrees to the 70-30 split. Then I think more changes get made. They're both calling each other names on Instagram. It feels like that's become almost the childish version of boxing, and this has become this where people just get in the ring and just fight. I don't know, but anyway, back to what we was talking about. I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, Younes definitely hasn't seen this.
I haven't. That's outrageous.
Madness. So we've kind of covered a little bit of Chelsea's finances. We're not financial experts, at least. Do you know what I mean? So any more detail on that, you're gonna have to go to, I don't know, who's that guy on Twitter? There's a certain guy on Twitter that is working in finance of football. I'll remember his name by the end of the show and show you guys where to go for that info. But let's get to something a little bit more calm. Kai Havertz and his donkey obsession.
Oh my God.
Do you know what? Yeah. Sometimes
the donkeys.
Yeah, sometimes people just set themselves up. His interview was very interesting to me because there were certain parts that I took that I really zoned in on. Obviously, the whole Mudryk and Enzo thing being young and whatnot, like, cool. But the whole part of kind of calling out the fickleness of football fans in terms of 1 minute they love you, 1 minute they don't.
I had an issue with that as well.
I have an issue with this one. Now, I'm not saying he's wrong, right, in terms of the fickleness of football fans, and it's very flippy-floppy. But I do believe that there's a question for me when I read this over his own justification of why that may be the case, why people may be flippy floppy on you, and your own mentality to change that, and whether or not you actually care to get to the level that you're meant to be playing at. Because make no mistake, I know he mentioned the price tag kind of hit him, and understandably so. I know he mentioned, you know, kind of the pressures and, you know, the personal side of things, and I get all of that as well. And that doesn't go underestimated. But if you are wondering why people are flip-flopping on you as a footballer in terms of your ability, I think it's quite obvious. And I don't think there's a player that people flip-flop more on than Kai Havertz, because it is so confusing as to A, what position he plays. Does he even know what position he plays? And B, where's the consistency in terms of, you know, you actually being one of the top players in this team? Because people could talk about a lack of starts, and people could talk about the lack of, you know, consistent game time if they want to, maybe if they want to. But he starts most games. Lukaku comes in, he F's up, he starts most games then after. You know, if you're that good, you kind of just throw yourself into the starting 11 by default because you play so well and you contribute so much. And his finishing, etc., his ball manipulation, his hold up, these things have all been very inconsistent. His dribbling. So, Miz, I'm confused as to why he's confused.
Yeah. You know, I saw bits and pieces of that interview sort of trickling down in Chelsea Twitter yesterday, and that was the portion that I took exception to. Everything else, you know, he kind of set himself up with that whole donkey thing. I was like, Kai, people are they're going to take you to the drains, man. They're really going to take you to the cleaners now. But that particular portion where he says, I have a few bad games and they all hate me. They want to sell me. Then I have a few good games. Now they all love me. Next week, I may have a bad game. Then they want to sell me. Kai Havertz, here's a message just for you. You need to self-evaluate, brother. The greatest of players are the biggest self-evaluators. They look at themselves first. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying. Don't worry about what the fans are saying. Don't worry about anything. Look at your last 50 matches and you say to yourself, how have you performed? Look at every facet of your game. Your hold up, your link up, you know, your passing, your vision, your scoring, your movement. Look at the entire facet for the last 50 matches that you've played for Chelsea Football Club, and then you tell the fans how you played. And if you think you were outstanding, well then, you know, you're not being honest. And if you think that, you know, you were a bit topsy-turvy, then why are you blaming the fans? It's simple as that. Of course, if you're going to be topsy-turvy, the fans are going to be like that as well. What you need to realize, Kai Havertz, is consistency. I think better to talk less and to perform more. I think in this interview, that portion, it kind of made me feel like you're not matured as yet, man. Because if your mindset is still like that, oh, I played good today, they like me, no, you should be focused on how can I get better.
Yeah.
It's not about playing good today, bad tomorrow, good the other. No, how can I keep improving season in, season out? And the whole thing about it's a new country, adaptation, I could understand for the first season. I could even understand for the second season. This is your third season.
Yeah.
This should now really be your home. So talk less, more performance, please.
I think people also took issue to the comment on football is not his first kind of first focus or his primary focus. Obviously, that goes without saying. Everybody's primary focus is their family, right? And their loved ones. But obviously, I guess the way it was put, people will never want to read that, right? Because they want the players that play for their club, they want their primary focus to be trying to be the best player they can be to help the club. Younes, do you think this guy has the mentality to make it as a top player? Because this is often conflated with calmness and composure, and he's clearly ice cold, right? He loves his flicked lob chip finishes. He's got the penalty thing under wraps. He's never panicking under high pressure situations. That is not all you need to be a top player. Do you, from what you've seen so far, do you feel like he can be a top player? Because ability is one thing, but mentality and consistency is another thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. And what you need in order to be a top player is consistency, regardless of if you're nonchalant or if you're, you know, all guns blazing every single week, or however you portray yourself. It's about how you perform every single game consistently, and he's just not been consistent. The interview gave me the vibe that there's almost like he's trying to cover himself, and the point that Miz has said in terms of like what his performances have actually been in when you bubble it all up in terms of the general, let's say 50 games or whatnot. The point he made about fans being on one side, then flipping over to another side and whatnot, is almost like trying to cover how mediocre his performances have been and the reaction that came his way, almost trying to like justify why the reaction came his way, and it's not actually his fault. At the end of the day, we go back to the point that I made about Reece James when we were talking about Mason Mount. You know, there are certain players in this team that no one flip-flops on. Why? Because it's clear, because they're consistent. When you look at Thiago Silva, does anyone bat an eye about Thiago Silva? No, because it's clear. It's clear as crystal. Reece James, clear as crystal. There are some players in this team where you just look at and go, have not got to worry. Havertz, as Miz has said, for the first season or so, you give leeway in terms of adapting and whatnot. Much like now when you look at Mudryk and you look at players that can be a little bit on and off, and you're thinking, okay, give a bit of time. Fair enough. Havertz came in with the expectation and the price tag that he would blow. And now is the time to kind of deliver. The one saving grace he has, where you ask about does he have the right mentality, is when he's playing in big games that have a big occasion, he can tend to show up, which leads me to think that maybe he's holding himself back in games that he deems doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? So does he have it within him? Maybe he does, but he doesn't bring it out week in, week out like top players do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
True. It's very true.
I don't think it's a case of he doesn't have it at all. There are some players that just don't have it. Like, you're not it, mate. You don't belong at this level. Sorry, bye. Yeah. I think Kai has it in him, but only decides to really show up when he feels like the occasion is big enough. Yeah. Whereas you look at top players that Chelsea have had, and as much as they show up against Barcelona, they'll show up against Bolton in the same manner. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what Kai needs to do, because he even mentioned it himself in terms of how when the occasion is big and then you get the Premier League games that don't have the same sort of feeling. That's not on you, mate. You need to still show up. That's not, of course it's not going to have the same feeling. The fans are not going to be as raucous, but you're the ones in control of Chelsea's destiny. You're the ones on the pitch that can actually have an influence. You need to show up regardless if you're playing Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid, or you're playing, you know, Southampton, or a struggling Everton, or you're playing Accrington Stanley in the Cup. Like, you have to approach it in the same sort of way, which is what I think he doesn't do. And I think he made that clear in his interview, despite not really saying that himself. I feel like that is what he's basically revealed to everyone with his words. So,
Bubba, what do you think? Because we've had calm players before. You know, Hazard was a happy-go-lucky individual, just wanted to enjoy his football, have a burger or two here and there. Can we have a successful donkey? And I'm not talking about his football. I'm like his teammates. I'm talking about, you know, the way he is. A calm, doesn't really do much, you know, in terms of the way he wants to kind of see life, I guess. He wants to be a donkey.
See, I don't care if he's called a donkey or a panda, unless if he performs week in, week out. See, 3 years of us watching Kai Havertz, and none of us can really point out what he's good at, apart from those mentality things. Like, he turns up in big games, okay, he has those flicks, he has those penalties, but on a footballing term, what is he actually good at? Does he have that pace? Is he a good reader of space? Does he read the game well? Is he physical? Is he an exceptional finisher in front of the goal? I think he is at best above average in all of those things. Even if he's played wide, if he's played behind the striker, if he's played as a lone number 9, which he is being played very often these days. So if we are to play a system, we need to identify what is his actual position is, and this is something which really bothers me because it is his third season and we still don't know what he's good at right now. So first, it's the most elementary step. You identify what a player is good at, then you make decisions. Okay, will he be a good fit for the team? Will he be a long-term player for us? So that is what bothers me about Kai Havertz. And 3 years is a damn long time, bro. You haven't given many good players this much. I think Werner would have deserved one more season at least. But okay, we decided to get in Sterling. We moved on. Fair enough. But Kai Havertz, we are still backing him. We've got Felix. We are getting Nkunku. The last podcast, we did the same discussion, how all of them are going to fit. Still, if we are looking at Kai Havertz to lead the team, then we have to, or the coach at least has to decide what are the traits that player brings to the table. And I am not able to get that, like what he is good at. He is being touted as that successor for Thomas Muller. So we can't play like Bayern, or there are a few teams who play like Bayern. So if he's a player of that particular mold, then it's a big problem because we have to then create a system around him. So I don't know what Kai Havertz is good at, to be honest.
Because it feels like if you used to make the comparison with every single day contract negotiation or contract tweets continue, Mason Mount. If you're comparing Mount and his Chelsea career with Kai Havertz, it massively favors in Mount's direction. However, the mood around Mount after this season, one season of real poor performance, maybe you could say from the start of the calendar year, maybe one year of poor performance, in comparison to these very inconsistent players around him, whether it's your Pulisic who can't stay fit, cost 60 million from Dortmund, your Kais who cost 70-something million from Bayer Leverkusen who can't stay consistent. Callum Hudson-Odoi is now, unfortunately, after that big injury, never looked the same. He's going to have to leave as well. It's like, you can see why this guy maybe is very annoyed and very agitated and not willing to kind of play ball, because he's looking around him, he's thinking, how comes everybody else is getting all of these opportunities, all of these second chances, and it only seems to take one back heel against, I don't know, Dortmund, or one performance here, one performance there whenever they feel like it. And they're able to just get all of this fanfare and all of this love again and all of this excitement. But for me, it seems like I can't even have one season off a little bit. This is what makes me sympathize for him quite a lot, because when you look at all the players around him in his position, on top of the fact that he's also been playing out of position as well, when you look at all the people in that attack, there's no one there that has actually delivered consistently over any sort of time span since they've got here. But yeah, if he wants to be a donkey, then be a donkey, but please be the consistent donkey. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Shrek's best friend was very consistent, always there, always turned up. Do you know what I mean? Went to fight the dragon, but there was also there for the small adventures as well. Do you know what I mean? I think that whole not turning up against small teams is a really clear thing that we've seen over the last couple of years. Like, that is something that, because you look at the quality of the player and you think, if you could turn up against the best teams, then you should be able to give it all season and actually put up some really strong numbers. But he can't seem to get a hold of it. And it's clearly a mental thing, because it's not an ability thing. Because if you can do it against Dortmund in a massive Champions League game where there's all this pressure, it's such a weird. Usually players break down in those situations because they're too stressed, and it's the other way around. The low pressure games is against the less quality teams. The stat padded against maybe a Norwich or some sort of Bournemouth or whatever. That's where that takes place. And then when you ask them to step up to the top level, that's where you're like, no, you can't do it. But Kai Havertz against Real Madrid, against Dortmund, these top teams, he plays really, really well, which would indicate that he's a Chelsea level player, because against the top teams you're able to do something. Against Liverpool in the cup, so it's a strange one. It really is odd.
I would like to ask all of you one question. Like, if you were to play Kai Havertz, if you are the manager, where would you play him? What system will you fit him in?
I'd put him on the bench, because I don't know where he plays.
I was about to say that.
You see me. I don't have time for this, brother. I don't have time for none of this, bro. I'd like to go back to a world where people have positions. I know that Ivan Toney and Victor Osimhen is a striker. I know that Mudryk is a left winger. Sterling is a right or left winger. Madueke is a right or left winger, judging off that under 21 performance for England, right, against France. I want players that play position. And I know what position you play, what job you do, and we move. I don't have time for all of these half-space players, half-acre players. Brother, I don't have time for that.
This is the thing.
I'm not good enough.
That answers my question.
That's the point. Is that is his position? I find it actually quite crazy for a player of that level, right? You know, you reach such an elite level like Chelsea, and you're not versatile enough. Like you're a second striker, and that's it. Like, come on. That's so the only way that we can actually use him is if we play a 4-4-2 and there's a second striker in behind the main man up top. That's it. That's Kai Havertz's only position. It's actually quite shocking when you think in terms of if we had known that, or did we know that when we bought him from Bayer Leverkusen? Was that how he was being used at Bayer Leverkusen? And we spent that money knowing that that is his only possible position where he actually performs. I can't believe that. That's outrageous.
That's not how he was advertised.
No,
that's not how he was advertised. He was advertised as someone who can play the 10, someone that can play off the flanks,
exactly
the right flank, someone that can play up front if he has to as well. After lockdown, played up front, scored goals, and even in the 8, people are telling me this was meant to be your really intelligent Bernardo Silva type player, but with height. You know, because players like that, players like that, they can play multiple positions, but they thrive in those positions. There's so many intelligent footballers where it doesn't really matter where you put them on the pitch because they just understand the game to another level. That's the type of player that it was advertised that we were getting. Somebody that understood a lot of facets of the game at a very young age and was able to apply himself into loads of different positions. And but was expected to be elite in 1 or 2 of those positions on top of it, not to be a jack of all trades, because he was wanted by Real Madrid, etc. So it's quite surprising to see him limited to this weird second forward kind of role.
Matisse, 100%, you're not even lying. I know that because we saw the footage of Bayer Leverkusen, him being on the left, cutting in, him playing in midfield, him playing, as you said, post lockdown. There's a lot of footage available from Bayer Leverkusen. You'll see that. I was quite baffled. Now I'm not. Now I fully understand the Aubameyang situation with Graham Potter and the board and everyone over going to Barcelona and celebrating with them, the El Clasico. So he's not part of the plan. But when we didn't know all of this stuff, that he was getting abolished from the team, I actually thought with João Felix coming in, Enzo Fernandez, I thought the smart thing would have been, let's play a striker now. Let's actually play an Aubameyang who can be a fox in the box, bit of speed, burst of speed inside the box, bit of class, bit of quality of finishes. Players like João Felix, players like Enzo Fernandez, players like Sterling can feed him in. And I was actually quite baffled that we've continued on with Kai Havertz. And not bashing Kai. Kai for the past 3 games has been pretty good, but I was just a bit taken away by the fact that, wow, we're not actually using, we've got Oba, like, might as well just use him. I mean, get rid of him in the summer, but you might as well use him now. Like, you have him, you have his services. So I'm with you, Matisse, and the rest of the boys. Like, I'd bench Kai Havertz. I'd actually play Aubameyang. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Aubameyang is wearing Barcelona tops now.
Now
did he do that? I've not seen that.
He did, yeah. I think he went to one of their matches and was in the dressing room. Yeah, and was in the dressing room post match wearing a Barcelona top. For me, I understand that he may not have been treated very well. In fact, he probably hasn't been treated very well considering what's happened. He comes in under Tuchel. Tuchel gets sacked after him playing 1 match in the Champions League, I think. Then he's got a new manager in Potter who doesn't really favour him. To be fair, Potter did start off with him. AC Milan, etc., and then he's kind of just fizzled away. Didn't get selected for the Champions League squad. It's been a tough year for him, and obviously personally as well. He's had a few incidences, so it's been a tough year for him. I actually do sympathise with him quite a lot, especially knowing what our chance creation issues were before he came in and before January. But now Enzo's in the team. There's actually probably a decent probability that he would get some goals. But after that, I wouldn't really be looking at him. I think. you know, we're trying to all pull in one direction. You're wearing a Barcelona top after an El Clasico. You're in their dressing room. You clearly want to go there. Stay there. I'd leave him in Spain personally. I'd say, listen, just stay there. We'll get the deal done pre-contract. Train with Barcelona. You'll go there on the 1st of July. Done. Like there's no need for him. We're not fighting for anything for him to come back here, apart from Europa League places, which we should be able to get without him. He's not in the Champions League squad for the games against Real Madrid anyway. He's of no real use to us, to be honest. That's how I see it. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'd be just leaving him in Spain.
Do you know what?
At this point,
we abolished him, but like we just told him to pack his bags and just, you know, you're not part of the squad. You're not part of the Champions League squad, so you're not participating there, and you're not in the Premier League squad as well at times. So I know it doesn't look right. I know it looks unprofessional, but what's this guy meant to do? He was sold a dream. This is why I feel like I don't like what the owners did here. I appreciate a lot of stuff that they've done, especially in the January window, but knowing your relationship with Thomas Tuchel wasn't going well. And, you know, so many outlets have told us it's not the Zagreb match that actually broke the back. It was the Arsenal match in the preseason is when it all started to culminate. Then why did you get Thomas Tuchel Aubameyang? Why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. Then you got him sacked, and then you expected. Can you imagine if, like, let's say, for example, one of you guys, let's say Younes, you know, there's a particular manager that tells you, come over to this company. I really want you, headhunts you. You come over, you make the leap, because let's be honest, you were happy where you were. We forced you out of Barcelona. Then you come to this company, your manager gets sacked. All of a sudden, you're not in the picture anymore. Hey, what are you meant to do? How can you stay
uprooting your entire life over back to London from Barcelona?
Because he would have stayed at Barcelona if we didn't. Like, Barcelona would have just kept him.
But did they want to keep him though?
No, they would have got rid of Memphis Depay anyway. Like, it was going to be one or the other. They would have got
financially they had to get rid of him, because remember they were going through all of their issues.
I don't know if they had to get rid of him. They had options of the other players that they could have got rid of. If
it was meant to be one of. It was meant to be either Aubameyang or Depay, and both ended up going anyway. So
yeah, and there was Braithwaite as well. Remember, they had this other guy named Braithwaite. He left. Memphis Depay ended up going anyway. Look, now all of a sudden maybe they have capacity to bring in Aubameyang. So look, point is, you've told him he's not part of the squad. You've told him he's not part of the plans for Chelsea future. Now don't bash him because he's celebrating at Barcelona. Like, let the man just feel life. Do you know what I mean?
But do you think while you're still contracted with Chelsea, if you are still contracted with a company and you do still get paid by them weekly, do you not have to maintain and I'm talking a bare minimum. I'm not expecting a madness, but a bare minimum of professionalism where you don't go and represent other clubs.
There is none of that left in the modern world, bro. The moment the fans say something about a player, these players are too soft. The moment the manager criticizes a player, there is these rumors of a rift between the player and the manager, and the player suddenly is not training well, apparently. This is how they put it. I completely agree with the point that we have not been fair to Aubameyang, but everyone is not an Olivier Giroud, who does not get played for 6 months, but still is a top-notch professional, who works his ass off in the training, and whenever he's called upon, he will score you those crucial goals. And then he's benched the very next game. So those players are gone, in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, I agree, Drogbaba, 100%. When you look at training, right? There's so many people that look at training pictures and whatnot, and they go, "Oh no, look, the boys look really happy. Everything's all nice, yeah." And then you hear good things in terms of like the harmony and whatnot. Aubameyang's situation, I think we can all understand, and we can all say 100% clarity and certainty that he's not happy with what's happened, right? But when you look at him in training, all smiles, bubbly, looks like he's getting stuck in. doesn't play, doesn't get picked, which goes to the point of, yeah, we should probably just leave him in Spain, because I don't think he's going to play for Chelsea again. I think that's pretty clear. But the point of the way that some people analyze just a few pictures from training and have everything summed up, positive or negative, by the way.
Yeah.
Whether you see all smiles and it's like, oh, see, no, everyone's happy, or you see like a couple of frowns and oh no, there's been a bust up. Like that's not how it works.
I can't stand those tweets. I cannot stand those tweets. Luckily, this person had already deleted it by the time I got my hands on it. I see a picture of Aubameyang smiling into the camera, coming out the doors of Cobham into the training pit. See, look how happy he is. I said, what are you talking about? What is wrong with you? This man has smiled towards the camera for the best part of 1 millisecond. And you have now managed to make an entire conclusion on his move for the other 23 hours, 59 minutes.
And the other thing they say for Mudryk, see, he's not smiling. He has this stone cold expression. He's not happy.
Bro, I wish people would stop micro-analyzing footballers' images and just like social media. It's like Reece James puts up a quote on a story. People will be like, oh, he's not happy. I'm like, bruv, he's probably just in his feelings. He probably had an argument with some girl on Snapchat. Like,
social media and VAR are the two worst things to have happened to football in the last 15 years.
I agree.
I was like, this guy's probably just lost a streak with fucking Matilda on Snapchat. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if her name's Matilda. Where'd you get that from?
I don't know.
The thing is, people know that social media is so loud these days, and it is so easy for fans to voice their opinions and to create a.
I feel like the account in particular that tweeted that, it's like they feel like they have to tweet, like it's their job. Like
they are aware of that.
Like they absolutely have to tweet. Like sometimes you don't have to tweet. If you have nothing to say, you don't have to. I swear, nothing will happen.
Players know that these kind of accounts exist, and if we throw some tantrums or if we don't train or whatever, we will, they will start talking about us.
Do you know how mad you have to be? Do you know how mad you have to be to think that you need to analyze another human being to that level? Like micro-analyze to that level. You do realize that is another human being. Like, if I smiled into a camera, I wouldn't expect someone to screenshot that and start micro-analyzing every single little thing about it. Like, what? I was seeing people analyzing the way people are sat. Now, this is memes. Like, this is what do they call it? Composure, because he's sitting with his legs out.
Oh, yeah, because his legs are apart. If you've got your legs crossed.
Really confident. I would hate to be one of these people. And this is why maybe they have gone soft in a way because of the social media, right? Because of all of the extra stuff that they're seeing online. Remember, way back when Lampard was at West Ham, he didn't get no social media because he didn't see none of that. We might have had a little, I don't even know if Facebook was running back then when he was first starting. Maybe a little MSN. I don't know. Not much. MSN. Not much.
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. But you didn't have Twitter, and you didn't. Do you know what I mean? So there was nothing for them to go and look for. Now people are too kind of. Some people,
back then it was just the papers. It was just the newspapers back page, and that's it.
Yeah, and back page, which is his own issue because the newspapers back then were very influential on the general public. We saw that throughout. Even royalty and Diana, you know what I mean? All those things. So, like, newspapers were very influential, but social media now, it's like some people, they can't resist but see what people are saying about them. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, Jesus, I can't help it. I need to see what's going on. But this type of micro-analyzing, it's like, it's not normal and it's not necessary. Like, they're just human beings. And Lord, if I saw someone micro-analyzing me like that, I'll be like, bruv, you need to go outside, bro. It's not that deep. I promise you, whatever you think, you're wrong. I promise you, you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's just
it's too funny.
I don't know what to make of it. Honestly, sometimes I see it on Twitter and I think
people have got a lot of free time. People have got a lot of free time on there.
People are too like. Listen, I love to talk about you know, football and, you know, the game and the tactics and the players and what I like and what I don't like. But I feel like people are too obsessed. This is like Ariana Grande level of standing that, you know, like this is what it is. This is like standing, you know, Taylor Swift. You know, it's almost unhealthy level of standing or obsession. It's like, why do you care that my man smiled into a camera? Why is that even a thing that in your day you're even thinking about? You have to think about other things that are more important. You have to.
And it goes back to that point. You have to differentiate. Like, even if someone is, especially in football, it's not like going into a normal 9 to 5, right? These players go in, and despite their situations or contracts or you know, their status at the club or whatnot, but when they go into training, some players may be affected, but some players go out and they're like, I love to play football. Like, yeah, I've got problems and whatnot, but I'm about to go and kick a ball about. I quite like that. So they're going to go onto the training pitch and maybe have a few giggles with their teammates and whatnot, players that they don't have a problem with. And then it gets captured on a camera. Oh, look, he's absolutely ecstatic with his life right now. He's happy. Or the flip side, if someone comes on and they've just been hurt in a challenge, maybe something, and they've been caught, you know, putting head down or shoving a player, because that's what happens when you play football sometimes. It's completely normal. If you've played, you'd know. All of a sudden, no, it's been a bust up at the training ground. No, that's not how it works. Your situation, your contract situation, your status, the way that you are, Aubameyang is an example, doesn't relate to how he shows up for training and performs on the training pitch, unless if he is allowing his situation to affect him in training. Some players don't. Some players just get on with it.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, you can't put everyone in the same bracket, and you can't differentiate. You got to differentiate the two.
And the worst part about this is people have normalized this. People have normalized this behavior. Okay, he has not been treated fairly. He has this problem with the selection. The coach has not picked him up for Champions League. So it is justified for him to do this as a human being. If I were in his place, I might do the same thing. They have normalized this behavior.
So what you're trying to say is that not only they analyze the picture that he's not smiling because look at the last 3 games, he's not been in the starting lineup.
It could easily be, you know, if a player's got a kid and the kid hasn't slept all night, kept them up, or the wife has just, you know, I don't know, they've had an argument in the morning over who made breakfast and why haven't you, and you know, he's gone out and he's like, oh fuck this, I can't be bothered, and he turns up to training in a bit of a mood. It can't be because of that. It must be because of something Chelsea related. Every single time this guy is not happy, it must be something Chelsea related. It's not like there's anything else going on in his life whatsoever. It's just, it has to be Chelsea related. If a player changes a letter in their bio, it is screenshotted, put on Twitter, and it is amplified as headline news that they've changed an emoji in their bio on Instagram from smiley face to angel emoji. What does that mean? Are they religious now? Shut up. What?
But do you know what, Matisse? You're right. Like, for instance, Mudryk, his parents are still in Ukraine, Kiev, like, the war and everything. You can't expect Mudryk might have had a very tough conversation the night before training with his parents, like they're struggling or whatever the case is, right? Could only imagine how life would be in a war-stricken zone. You don't expect him to be like, come on, lads, let's go and train today.
Yeah. But bro, this is why when you tweeted, like, there needs to be a calm on Mudryk about his minutes. I agree, because I'm like, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Mudryk for us to be like, oh, he must start every single. He might not be mentally ready to start. He might not be physically as well. Even when he came to Chelsea, he hadn't played before that since mid-November, so he was already kind of. I think Potter said it was kind of like almost like a pre-season in a way for him, because he hadn't played for ages, didn't go to the World Cup, missed like 2 months of football. So that they were building up his minutes. Obviously, he got a few minutes here and there before we changed system. And now this system is new to him. For all we know, Mudryk could be fine with not playing. Potter's going through the system with him, the new responsibilities of the new roles. And it's like, that's going to take some time for him to get used to and understanding in the training drills. Yeah. In the training drills, when they're going up against each other, this is the position that you need to take off the ball. This is the off the ball shape. This is how we're on the ball. This is the difference between the role that you're playing on the left flank and to how you need to play when you're inside the channels. These are the movements. I hope that's what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like we can only analyze what we feel like we can really gauge. Some things we're never going to be able to gauge. I saw Anthony Barry this week got a hell of a lot of criticism on Twitter, like, oh, he wants to go to Bayern Munich, we should just let him go. I was like, oh, I don't really want him to go, because if Tuchel rates him, then shit, he must be good, right? And when he came in, he was not only responsible for our set piece improvement, but also our defensive record as well being improved in terms of off the ball shape and the way that we handle certain situations. I don't particularly want one of our coaches going to Bayern Munich mid-season when we could potentially play Bayern Munich in said Champions League if we were to get to the semi-final. That would be insane, especially when they didn't even throw up the compensation immediately. They would try to do some Bandulu bullshit and start speaking on his name and be like, oh yeah, we want him. I was like, okay, but there's a compensation clause. I'm sure that you understand you need to pay out that contract. So, but then people were like, oh, just let him go. We're not good defensively anyway. I'm like, we don't really know what's going on there with the training there, with what he's instructing them to do if they're following instructions. I saw Sterling marking somebody from a corner the other day. I didn't like it, but I don't really know who to blame. I was just like, I don't know what's going on there, but that's a mess. That shouldn't happen. We don't know who's not followed instruction, who has. We just don't know. We don't know. So we can't really say, but I wouldn't be so quick to get rid of him, that's for sure, because this is a guy that's been sought after by international federations and whatnot for even management roles I've seen him linked with.
With Anthony Barry, I feel like it's a bit of a lose-lose situation. See, a lot of people were upset with Thomas Tuchel. How dare he? I'm disappointed in Thomas Tuchel. Yeah. Chelsea's disappointed in Thomas Tuchel to coming out public like. Do you think Thomas Tuchel publicly would say Anthony Barry's name if he actually didn't speak to Anthony Barry first?
But did he speak to Chelsea? That's the thing. Did they speak to Chelsea?
Did he speak to Chelsea? I don't know. There must have been some sort of tactic here, right? This is how I played in my mind.
Maybe he knew. Maybe he knew he'd do it. Like clearly now he wants to go.
Put it this way. I could be absolutely wrong here, but this is the assumption that I'm taking because it kind of makes sense to me. Thomas Tuchel was looking at different jobs, right? And I think Spurs were a genuine contender to go after him. Bayern Munich jumped onto the gun. Obviously, Real Madrid was there as well. As soon as he realized he was going to get the Bayern Munich job, I'm pretty certain he knew who his backroom staff were going to be. The normal people that are always his backroom staff, they were part of it. And I'm pretty certain he would have had, do you know what? I like Anthony Barry. He's done a madness for me in Chelsea Football Club. I want him in. And I'm pretty sure in that meeting, they probably would have called Anthony Barry whilst Tuchel's negotiations were taking place. Because I'm pretty sure, Salihamidzic and Oliver Kahn would have said, who are you bringing in with you? What do you want? He would have said, I need this guy. Surely. They probably picked up the phone and said, hey, Anthony, this is what's going down. I'm about to get the Bayern Munich job.
The club need to know as well, because they're gonna employ all of these guys. So
exactly. Anthony Barry on the spot probably said, do you know what? I don't mind this. I'm down for this.
I'll have some of that.
I'll have some of that. Do you know what I mean? And then Thomas Tuchel probably played a bit of a tactic here that, look, we need to create a case that he wants to get out so that there is no compensation paid. So the power is all on Anthony Barry. The power is all on Bayern Munich. Much like when a opposition club taps up on a player, like for example Enzo Fernandez. When we did that to Enzo Fernandez went up to Rui Costa and said, "Release me. I do not care. Release me now. I don't want to play for Benfica again." It's difficult. So that's the ploy I feel. Was it the right thing to do with Thomas Tuchel? I don't think so, but I think he did it with a purpose. He did it for the fact that Bayern Munich don't want to pay the compensation. Bayern Munich want to present a case. Your man wants to leave you, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So
it's tactical, isn't it? A little bit of chess.
But look, Anthony Barry does want to leave, though, right?
Yeah, he does.
He's not allowed to come into Cobham and be part of the matches. So it's deep. It's deep.
As much as I would prefer not to lose him to Bayern Munich before we could potentially play them, it looks like he's going to have to go, isn't it? Just purely because he doesn't want to be here, and we've just played right into Bayern Munich's hands, and Bayern Munich have managed to win that battle in that way.
Thomas Tuchel, this is why he did that.
Yeah.
It also goes to show, in terms of Anthony Barry, I made this point. If it'd be different if there was, say, for example, he had to compare the two situations and he'd look at Chelsea and go, no, you know what? I'm happy with what we're doing here. I'm happy with what we're building. I'm happy with who I'm working with. What we're doing here is something that I want to stick around for, as compared to going to Bayern Munich to join Thomas Tuchel. And clearly he has seen that the job at Bayern Munich with Thomas Tuchel is more appealing to him than what he currently has at Chelsea. And that needs to be addressed. That has to be addressed. And, albeit, yes,
that's a huge point.
We're trying to go in a certain direction. And there's certain things that's going to take time. But it goes to show that we're not where we want to be. We're not. And we need to fix up. Because a few years ago, if you had offered, say, for example, he was a coach at Chelsea at a time where we were, killing it, and Bayern Munich came along with a manager who he'd worked with, and then you got to offer him the choice, chances are he might stick around.
Yeah. That's a good point, Younes. A few people actually said that to me, that the bigger issue is, why is everyone leaving? What happened to this project everyone's talking about? It's a world's greatest project. Everyone wants to be part of this. Why is everyone leaving?
Well, I guess Anthony Barry would have been part of the former regime, isn't it? In some ways. So he would be another one. Just like the groundskeeper Willie got sacked as well.
Groundskeeper Willie.
Poor, yeah.
God
He's
knows.
gone, bro. He's gone.
I didn't even know the groundsman would get sacked. That was wild. When the medical team, the recruitment team, but the groundskeeper, damn, they want a whole new. It's a lot.
Albeit, apparently, we're linked with the guy that was in charge of the Real Madrid's pitch and also Arsenal's. And I have to say, whoever was responsible for them, especially for the Arsenal one, hands down the best groundsman in world football, as far as I'm concerned. So, if we end up getting them.
If they get rid of Billy the Kit Man, that'll be the final straw.
No, the Masseur, Billy McCulloch. No. If they get rid of Billy McCulloch, there needs to be protests. 100%, man. No one touches Billy.
He's a Masseur, isn't he? I don't know why I keep saying
he's a Masseur. Because he does work with kids. Yeah, because he gives massages.
I tweeted that and it did mad numbers. No one corrected me.
Mate, Billy's loved.
Everyone believed you that he is the kid.
I guess it was part of the joke.
So funny.
No one can touch Billy.
Yeah. The final thing I want to clarify on as well, just before we go, is Mason Mount to Bayern Munich. I actually don't believe that's even a serious link. I think it's a lazy link, purely because I don't see a role for him. Like, you got Musiala, you got Kimmich, you got Goretzka. They probably need a DM, funnily enough, and a striker, which is similar to what he probably needed at Chelsea. And maybe a third centre-back as well, if they were going to move to that formation we've seen him play before. But he doesn't always play that because he didn't play at PSG the whole time. But those would probably be the priority positions for Bayern Munich if they were to go into the market. So I don't actually see them going for Mason Mount. I think somebody else said it as well on Twitter. It was quite an easy link to make, a link to, again, throw more pressure onto maybe the club in terms of negotiations. If all of these top clubs are interested, I've seen Real Madrid, even weirdly enough, somewhere in the stratosphere, I saw Real Madrid. I've seen Man United. I've seen Man City. I believe the Liverpool one. Yeah. I've seen Bayern Munich now, but I think some of these are. I think it's the
Liverpool one that's the most believable.
The Liverpool one is the Liverpool.
I don't really buy any other ones. I think it's the Liverpool one that's the most believable. So.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna come to a close. Younes, brother, it's been a pleasure. Let them know where to find you. Great show as always, bro.
Yeah, man. Bring on Saturday. That's going to be interesting. We get Aston Villa and see what happens. It's a mid-table clash properly in the true essence of the word. We're level on points. Whoever wins goes above the other. So, I'll be dropping a preview for that tomorrow. Today will be, I think it'll be a video about the whole stadium thing, because the anti-Earls Court group, if they even exist, are not happy. And there's things that need to be addressed. So I'll do a video on that later. And then tomorrow will be preview for Chelsea Aston Villa. Saturday will be the first review back, and we'll see how we do against Villa. So that's it. Yeah. Younes Talks Football.
There you are. Miz, let them know where to find you, bro. Pleasure as always. Cheers to the time difference.
It's been great. Thankfully enough, my daughter's still sleeping, so Yes, we've managed it. We've managed it, lads. And now I just gotta hope that my stream that I'm going to do straight after this goes smoothly as well. The other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, all the matches will kickstart again, and just like Younes every year, just all of that stuff, all of that good stuff. Come and join.
There you are, guys. Baba, let them know where to find you, bro. Pleasure as always. Great show.
Thank you, bro. Drogbaba, same. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. And this week, Chelsea is back to ruin all our weekends.
Do you know what? I think you're right. They will. No, I don't think. More than you can believe. More than you can believe.
What do we reckon before we go in?
I think draw.
Maybe Aston Villa. Let me just say, Aston Villa is not an easy game.
Home or away?
Emery.
Wow. I think it's at home. It's at Stamford Bridge, but it doesn't matter. Does it really matter?
No. Emery's a good coach.
Oh yeah, Emery.
He'll be prepared. It'll be tough.
Good evening.
I don't think so.
It's not a good evening.
I'm gonna go for a very, very, very narrow win for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a narrow win.
Hoping.
I think my prediction will probably be about 2-1.
So we might be in the bottom half of the table.
Well, if we lose to Aston Villa, they'll go ahead of us.
Yeah.
It's actually a massive game in the mid-table clash. If we want to hold on to 10th, this is the time to solidify 10th place.
See, when I joined this, I was at the backstage for a while, and you guys were discussing about us finishing in the Europa League places and what the Conference League song will sound like and all of that. What European places, bro? I don't see us finishing above 8th the way we are playing in the league, and might as well finish out of Europe than play Conference League.
Bring back Intertoto. Do you guys remember Intertoto?
Oh, yeah, man. What, did Fulham win that or something?
But that's a mad team in there, man. Intertoto was the bomb, bro. Oh, Intertoto was pre-season, by the way. Like,
bro, what is this? Toyota?
Was it pre-season?
I think so. It was. It didn't happen during the season. I don't think it was during the season. Intertoto. It was like before the season kick started. It would be like, 15th, 16th place teams would play each other.
Yeah. I mean, it lasted like 3 seasons, and then they got rid of it.
Intertoto, man.
Classic.
Well, there you are. Listen, sounds like we need a new competition to be made for us. As embarrassing as that sounds, we'll see what happens. Really don't want Conference League. Praying for Europa, but that would mean we'd have to finish ahead of one of Tottenham, Liverpool, or Newcastle. So,
will we be the first club to win Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League?
Probably. Yeah.
No, this is why I've said if we end up in the Conference League, it's not actually all bad news. Because if we did win it, we'd be the first to win every single trophy that there is.
No, that is a distinction that we are just making. I don't think so. Real Madrid would be like, oh, we haven't won a Conference League. Oh, we don't have a Europa League in our trophy cabinet.
Sad now. We did.
Yeah, that will really hit Real Madrid.
I don't think so. Teams like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and
Barcelona,
even the Barcelona.
But they should think about it. They really should.
They should consider.
Okay, one season, let's finish 7th.
Purposefully relegate themselves to this competition to try and win it. And if you win it, you get Europa League qualification.
Whoa, you don't even have to come 6th. You're there.
There you are. Then win the Europa League. You got Champions League.
We could finish 8th. We could finish 8th again. Back to back 8th places. You know what comes next, right? 5th, and then maybe 1st.
Hey boys, loophole.
and if we were to win the Champions League,
then we've gone completely against the
You don't have to do anything in the Premier League. You do not have to do anything.
To be honest, if we win the Champions League, it's probably not according to plan, because that's not how projects are meant to go. You're meant to start off bad. We want to win the Champions League.
This is how the Super League begins, isn't it? We're just going to abandon the Premier League and just focus on all of this European stuff, and then end up playing the Super League.
I've come to the conclusion we need to get knocked out of the Champions League now. There you are. There you are, guys. In a bit, people. Peace.